Acts of the Apostles, chapter 10, St. Peter's praying, a sheet comes down, and a voice showing animals says, take and eat. St. Peter was absolutely afraid. I will not do it because it's unclean. And what God says is pretty profound for our family meals. What he has created will not be considered unclean, gives us permission to slaughter and eat. And this is something that you can talk with your family and friends about around a delicious meal prepared by a very special guest. So stick around and savor our faith on EWTN. Hey everyone, Father Leo here. It is great to have you on a very special episode of Savoring Our Faith. I am wearing my chef gear all in white because that's what students wear, because I am going to be learning from a master, not just of faith, but of cooking and hunting. No stranger to EWTN, Father Mitch Pacwa.
Father, how are you?
Howdy,
Good
partner.
To see you. Howdy.
Well, that's pretty
How are
awesome.
you?
I'm great, and I am so excited to have you here because I know you are not only a pro in the kitchen, you're a pro of getting the food from the field into the
I
kitchen.
get out in the field now and again and bring back some animals.
So what is the dish that you're going to be preparing today? Can you describe it for me? Because I know I'm going to get started. Do you want me to mince up some onions and some garlic?
Some onion and garlic.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to cook two different kinds of animal.
Okay.
One is going to be buffalo, and it'll be ground buffalo.
Okay.
The other is going to be called a Nilgai antelope. Now, this Nilgai antelope comes from India, but a rancher in Texas bought 7 breeding pair and put them on his ranch in South Texas. Now, it is a fair piece, about 350,000 acres. Now he has 35,000 of these animals, and part of the guarding of the animals is to make sure that the herd is thinned out on a regular basis in an organized way.
Oh, really?
And that's what I was trying to do, is help them with that.
Oh, you're so good to help us organize.
Well, actually, I was very honored to do it.
Knowing that he was going to have some gamey flavors, I'm going to create a hash that hopefully complements Father Mitch's delicious gamey meal.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, because I'm going to use similar aromatics and throw in some onions, some carrots, some celery, and some apples. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start right now.
Let's start off with the buffalo.
Okay.
I want to do this in a style of recipe that comes from Greece. See, when you're cooking wild game, it's good to have strong flavors, herbs and spices that help to complement the meat. Because sometimes people find the meat from the field a little strong itself.
Yeah, a little gamey, right?
Sometimes a little gamey. And
so these onions are going to help with that then? Or is
the onions and all the herbs and spices are going to help. It's very important to get that going. Now, Father, let's get this turned on.
Great.
And we're going to turn on
Can
to
I ask you real quick, because I know
flame.
this is something that a lot of people will want to know.
Right.
When did you start hunting? How have you gotten into it? And, have you ever gotten any criticism from people? Because I know I have. Whenever I use any fresh meat, people will say, it's not good to eat meat. First of all, there's some people who are really concerned about the protection of the animals and such.
Right.
What do you say to all that?
And a couple things. I would go hunting with my father when I was a boy.
Okay.
And he, ironically, didn't trust me with a gun.
Well,
so he wouldn't let me do any of the shooting. He did all the shooting, but I'd go, no, he would do the shooting. And then I went with a friend of mine in Tennessee, but we didn't even see a deer. About 6 years ago, in the year 2005,
okay,
some friends of mine invited me to their ranch in Texas.
Okay.
My first morning out, I shot an 8-point buck. And then I went later on that afternoon and shot what's known as a black buck. It's an animal that comes from India.
Okay.
And this black buck was, I got him dead to rights. I mean, he went down, bam.
Huh.
There was no running for him. Now let's put the
Let's see.
onions.
This is about what? About 3 to 4 tablespoons. Probably about a quarter cup of
oil. Olive oil.
Great, and we've got that on. We'll get that warmed up over a high heat, then we're gonna drop it down to saute the onions so they don't burn.
Right.
With the garlic.
See, that's one of the things about sauteing onions.
Exactly.
Is that you got to make sure that you don't burn them.
Yeah.
If they stay in there too long, or if the heat is too high, they'll brown instead of turning clear.
Clear, like
and
you
that's
want
what
it
we want to do.
translucent.
And especially with garlic will do that because it's even more sensitive than the onion.
And here's a way to test it, folks. Just drop a little bit on there. If you start to see it kind of simmer like that, that means the oil is definitely hot enough. So we're just gonna now add all of this. This is one whole onion.
One whole onion.
I love that sound. There you go.
And I love the smell. There's nothing like the aroma of cooking onion and garlic in olive oil.
Exactly.
It's one of my
garlic
favorite.
in there now?
Let's wait a little bit.
Wait a little bit on the garlic?
Just a few minutes to let this get a little browned.
Mm-hmm. So now your family taught you the respect for the animals.
Well, that was
the nature.
That was one of the things too, is that we were taught early on that cruelty to animals is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
You know, when you hunt, you need to be in good condition. And by that I don't mean just physical condition, but you need to have a good eye so that you don't wound an animal. You shoot the animal to kill it, and you want it to die quickly.
Wow.
And that's one of the things that's very important about respecting the animal, is making sure that it dies as quickly as possible. And you know, I've had a pretty good eye with my rifle and with my bow and arrow. I do both bow hunting and rifle.
Do you say a prayer before you
as a matter of fact,
pull the trigger?
Well, I'm usually praying in the field before I start shooting. You know, it's one of those things that I start the prayers as soon as I get in there.
Good for you.
Usually, that's one of the nice things about being in the field. You have to stay alert.
Yeah.
That's very important to stay alert. But you can pray the rosary. I love saying the rosary when I'm out there.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
And I can, add to my prayers, meditations. For instance, one of the things I learned from Pope John Paul II, not personally, but from his writings, is that when we say the Hail Mary, we can say, going through the mysteries, we can say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus, who became flesh in your womb.
Wow. It's really impressive to see Father Mitch Pacwa, a theologian and a hunter, and see how those two things actually tie together. In fact, they're even patron saints for hunting. All right, well, you know what? Let's get going with explaining what this meat is, because this is pretty impressive. This is so dark, it's so rich. What exactly is this?
All right, now this is buffalo.
Okay.
Now I got this meat. I didn't shoot a buffalo. I never had the opportunity to shoot one yet. But I have a friend who's a hunting guide down in South Texas, in Ensenal, Texas, near Laredo. And his daughter shot this buffalo.
Wow.
About a 1,500-pound bull buffalo.
How old is she?
She's 12 years old, and she shot it with a bow and arrow. And I saw the video.
That is pretty impressive.
I was very impressed.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna multitask, because that's what it's all about. Here we're gonna actually start cutting up this other piece of meat. And what exactly is this meat called right here?
All right, now that's something that I shot myself. That's called a Nilgai antelope. I was proud of him because
it looks so lean. I mean, and this cut of meat it looks like a tenderloin, but what exactly what is this
is called
piece?
The back strap.
The back strap.
When we skin it, we then go along, one of the first pieces of meat you take out is right along the spinal column. So you cut right along the spinal column and then cut sideways along the spinal column. And that piece of meat in there is as tender as can be. It's
extremely tender. Now, how do you want me to cut this? Because this is actually going to get served.
I would like that in about 1-inch slices.
You tell me, is that thick enough right there, or is that a little?
I'd make it just a little bit thicker.
Little thicker. All right. Right.
There you go.
Great.
I mean, we've got to have something to chow down on. Come on.
All right.
The Nilgai, it was brought to a South Texas ranch, and
Now you're saying Nilgai, and I keep thinking you're calling me little guy.
No,
I mean, that's just what it sounds like, though. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, so defensive.
I'm just.
No.
All right, so we've got
Nilgai. Nilgai.
Now, what exactly does a Nilgai look like?
A Nilgai has the body of about the size of a mule.
Size of a mule.
It's got a neck like the size of a horse or mule. Its face is elongated, somewhat like a giraffe face, and it's got two horns like a cow.
What God has created is
absolutely. I almost thought that Congress designed it. It
Congress
looks so funny.
Exactly, it looks like a chimera of some sort.
It's the largest antelope that there is in the world.
My gosh, so we've got deer and the antelope, and then
buffalo.
buffalo.
The buffalo and the antelope.
There's a song. There's a song in the making, no doubt. How do you want me to start preparing this?
All right, we need some salt and pepper on that.
All right.
And we can
both sides?
Yes, please.
All right. So some salt and pepper.
And we can put this flame on.
All right.
And I'm going to put that down on a medium-low flame.
Great.
Now, for the Nilgai, because the flavor is just a little bit stronger, I'm going to use sesame oil.
Wow.
Now, sesame oil is it gives a flavor that complements the meat.
Well, it's kind of interesting because it does have a little bit of an Asian flair because sesame oil is oftentimes used, and it means that sesame will kind of, we're going to chrismate it.
Exactly.
So salt, pepper. I just did a liberal salt peppering on that. And it really does look like filet mignon. It's so beefy.
It's very much like filet mignon.
And this is a unique animal, and there's only a limited amount in the United States,
right? Now, this rancher, like I say, started off with 7 breeding pairs. Now he has 35,000.
Wow. And
and by the way, I'm adding sesame seeds.
Yeah.
I want the oil to heat up and begin toasting the sesame seeds.
Oh, okay, great. And that's basically going to help also flavor.
Now we're going to put the salt and pepper into the meat while it's browning.
Okay. And then with the Nilgai, you also want me to now do some very thin strips, almost a chiffonade of these candied ginger.
Yeah, we don't talk about chiffonades back in the hunting camp, but you'll, if that's what it is, go ahead.
I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Remember, I'm the student on this one. And it really is awesome to, first of all, work with you, to cook with you, because it's something that priests do. I think people are always so surprised when they see priests in a kitchen, priests wearing an apron, but the fact is the apron is basically the dalmatic, the servant's garb. And so our job is to feed people, body, mind, and spirit. And one of the easiest ways to get people to the table, the Lord's table, is to make sure we have something delicious for them. Now let me ask you this. How much of this candied ginger do you want?
That's plenty right there.
Great.
That's enough.
That's awesome because it's such a unique dish, but I think it's going to complement rather well with what we're going for here.
Notice the sesame oil is starting to brown the sesame seeds.
Absolutely.
And as that's getting heated up.
And this is going to really just become a ragu.
Right, but now, here's some of the stuff that I learned from the Greeks.
Please.
All right. Of course, a little oregano.
Yep.
As one of my Italian friends says, there's no such thing as too much oregano.
It's so great to have friends in an international flavor because they'll just teach us everything. I like to tell people that if you want to really investigate a culture, see it through the eyes of faith and through your stomach.
Oftentimes they go together too, because a lot of people will come up with recipes that are related to their faith, but not this one. This is just related to the spices that the Turks brought.
Great.
All right, don't say that to the Greeks. All right, now I'm going to put in some cinnamon.
Oh, some cinnamon. Okay, so this is going to have a very Eastern, Middle Eastern kind of flavor to it.
And then just a little bit of nutmeg, not too much nutmeg, just a pinch of nutmeg.
I like his pinches. They're more like scoops.
Well, this is a big mess right here.
You got a big hand. And what is this fresh cinnamon stick here for?
No, I'm going to use the cinnamon stick in a minute.
Okay.
Because after the meat is now brown.
It smells so good in here.
Yeah, that cinnamon just really gives the meat a nice taste.
Absolutely.
And with ground game meat, you can use this with deer. You can use this with buffalo like we're doing, or any other, and certainly it works well with beef or lamb.
Okay.
When you're doing it with beef and lamb, you can use it either ground or you can have it in cubes. All right, now, having ground this all up and browned it all up, let's add the tomato sauce. This is tomato sauce.
Yeah, that's tomato sauce, and I'll just hand that to me, and I'll clean it up for you. Tomato.
Canned tomatoes.
Yep, some chopped tomatoes. Wow. And this is just a simple can. This is like the 6 or the 8 ounce cans.
Right. And then a small 8 ounce can of tomato paste.
Okay.
Now the tomato paste is really nice because it helps to thicken up the sauce.
Okay. I'll get rid of that. Yeah, that is a beautiful looking ragu, actually.
Now, it's not called ragu where this comes from. The Greeks call it a kapama sauce.
Kapama.
Kapama.
That sounds pretty cool. We're eating that, and we're eating a Nilgai.
Nilgai.
All right, so what do we do with this?
Let me just finish this up.
Sure.
I stir around the tomato sauce, tomato paste, and canned tomatoes. And at this point, I add 1 bay leaf. You break a bay leaf in half. Make sure that the flavor gets in there. And a stick of cinnamon.
Wow.
That you also, if I can do it, I rid of cans. Well, I'll just leave it in whole. I couldn't break it.
That way, it'll be easier to fish out.
Right. Now, that's
you
one
don't
of the
want to
things.
eat that.
You don't want to eat the cinnamon stick or the bay leaves, but they're good for the flavor.
Wow.
Now, what some people also add is, in this recipe, is a cup of wine, but we're not going to do that today. But it's also, that gives it a nice flavor.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
It makes a very nice flavor with the cup of wine in there. Red wine. All right, now we'll let this simmer.
Okay.
Let's take care of my Nilgai buddy here. We take this meat and put it into the sesame oil.
Wow, this is a unique application too, because it's not really going to just sear. It's really going to fry a little bit with that much oil in it.
Right.
Interesting. And that little piece is obviously going to go quicker than the other ones.
Right. And of course, after it's done on one side, we'll flip it over and cook the other side, so that you'll cook both sides in the oil.
Wow.
And it'll depend on how you like it. I don't generally like my game meat too rare. I like to cook game meat. There's one thing about game meat. There are no artificial chemicals. They haven't had any chemicals in their food.
Yeah, so it's natural.
It's all natural.
Purely natural.
But so you want to cook it well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not necessarily well done, but you want it to not be raw either.
Absolutely.
I don't cook mine rare.
Wow. So what we're going to do is we're going to let that cook down. We're going to flip it around, and when we come back, I'm going to make just a simple hash. Knowing that he was going to have some gamey flavors, I'm going to create a hash that hopefully complements Father Mitch's delicious gamey meal. And stick around, there's more to come. You know, one of the things that we always want to do is respect nature. And so it's impressive to see some of the code of law and the ethics that surround the hunting atmosphere. I honestly think that St. Francis wouldn't mind what they do whatsoever. My gosh, this smells absolutely delicious. I don't want to call it a ragu again, but this is called a
kapama.
Kapama. And we just flipped this Nilgai.
Right. Now,
That's awesome.
I want to, after flipping it, I want to add the ginger.
Certainly.
And with the ginger slices, I want to spread them around the pieces of the meat.
Wow. That just looks so delicious. So we're talking about this savory and a little bit of sweet, which is why I think the recipe that I am making will complement well that. And I'm just going to bake in a little hash. And I know that that's going to sit on the bed of some pasta.
Yeah, pasta. Or either one of these could be on pasta.
Oh, excellent.
Or rice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, either one goes well with rice or pasta.
All right, good. For this hash, Father Mitch, I'm I just created this not exactly knowing the preparations you're making, but I think it's going to complement well because I'm going to use similar aromatics and basically throw in some olive oil, some onions, some carrots, some celery, and some apples.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, because I think it's going to go well, give it a little bit of sweetness and some savory at the same time. So we're going to just get that all in there. I'm going to season it up with some oregano. So I'm glad that you've got that out. And then I'm going to add some breadcrumbs, some croutons to it as well, and basically make a stuffing / hash. And while this continues to saute, I have got to ask you now, since you got involved in the hunting,
Yes.
has that affected your spirituality?
Well, you know, it's been a very interesting thing. For instance, I'll never forget going to buy some shotgun shells. And I was walking out with a couple boxes, full, about 4 boxes of shells. And because we were going to go bird hunting. And
what have those birds done to you anyway?
they haven't gotten on my plate yet. That's what they've done. We're working on it. But
I love it.
But you know, as I was passing by, this guy does a double take, and he says, "Who's that preacher? I want to go to his church." Because one of the things that you know it does is it opens up a series of conversations with a lot of other men. Yeah, let's keep stirring
that looking. What I'm going to do right now is add some just regular cut up croutons. This is left over from when I basically take off some of the crusts. I save that stuff because it makes great croutons and it also makes a great stuffing as well. So we're going to just continue to get that mixing together. There's going to be just enough liquid in here from the aromatics to create a nice, delicious kind of mash. I am now going to take some leftover spaghetti because, you know, as priests, we always got leftovers in our refrigerator.
Always have leftovers.
So we got to be able to use it.
And we don't want to waste anything.
We don't want to waste anything. So I'm going to sneak in here, grab a little saucepan. I'm going to warm this up with just a little bit of water and a little bit of oil just to reheat that back up. So
sure.
A little bit of
that's
water.
a great way to reheat that.
Absolutely.
That's better than putting it in the microwave.
And I think we are going to be pretty much ready to plate some of this food in just a moment. All right. Hash is coming together nicely. It's going to add some nice color to the plate as well. And I think it's going to sop up some of the juices from these delicious meats. Great. I think we are done with that. Pasta is now going to, pasta is going to go in.
I see, I never would have thought of putting croutons into a side dish like that. That's really nice.
Yeah, you know, you've got your little creative ginger thing, I got my little creative crouton.
Yes, you do.
And that's what I think is so fascinating about cooking and hunting. It requires us to be creative. You know, I mean, just thinking about trying to attract that animal, shaking the horns, you know, just rattling the horns all together. It's kind of like what we've got to do in order to attract people back to the fold is find creative ways, including recipes, to put it all together. So why don't we let these all heat up and we'll plate and then you can bless this food.
All right.
You know, some of the most spiritual people I've ever met are hunters. They literally are patient people. They definitely have a respect for nature, and they oftentimes have to pray very hard so that they can provide food for their family. All right, so why don't we do this? I know that this is going to look a little more fancy than y'all might do out on the range, but I'm just simply going to take some of this hash. Now, if I had a ring mold, you know what that is? It's just simply a little pipe, and then you kind of jam all the food in there. It will literally make a nice little presentation plate. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And what we're gonna do, I think I'm gonna just take some of this delicious Nilgai. Keep wanting to say little guy.
No, Nilgai.
I know.
It's an Indian word. It's not an American word.
Okay, so take 2 of these.
Sure.
Ah, that looks so good. I'm just gonna sit right there because some of the juices in the oil, I'm sure.
Oh, they'll make a nice flavor with that.
Very nice flavor. Look at this. drizzling a little bit of this sauce right on top. I am telling you, I am getting hungry. All right. That is absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna just do this just for garnish because I know.
Sure.
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
It's exactly what they eat on the range, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Well, I bring my own supplies.
Let's plate up this other one here because I know it's not a ragu. Is this how you would have served it? You would have probably put this on rice, right?
Rice. I usually put it on rice, but it's very good on pasta.
Okay.
Very good on pasta.
And then comes time for this ragu.
May I serve you?
Yes, you may. Oh, that is beautiful.
One more scoop there.
So,
There you go.
What we've got here, I'm gonna break into this because I've got to give this a taste test.
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
So why don't you do me a favor? Can you say a little blessing on this food?
Sure. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, there's that. I'm gonna give a little taste because I've never had Nilgai in the hash itself. Oh my gosh, it looks perfectly cooked. It is so tender. Got a little bit of this ginger and a little bit of this hash. Oh my. That is good stuff.
Good. Now try some of the kapama sauce. One of the nice things about buffalo is that you don't get fat. You know, you don't get much runoff
Revelation.
fat. It's very, very lean.
Okay, here's how I'm going to prove I'm still a student because I'm probably going to get my chef coat all dirtied up with some of this delicious tomato. And all right, here we go. That is absolutely fantastic. You have taught me many things and have fed me not only with delicious food from the plain and from the range, wherever it came from. We all know it came from God and the work of human hands, feeding us body, mind, and soul. Father Mitch, I can't thank you enough.
Glad to be able to do it.
More delicious recipes. Just log on to EWTN/Savoring Our Faith and join us the next time as we provide more inspired meals for family, friends, so that we can savor the blessings that God has given to us.
Amen.
Amen.